The Chicago Art Institute is designed to take pieces of ancient art culture and incorporate them into modern day. Some examples of this include the Greek-styled pillars at the front of the Institute, the Parthenon marbles on the ceiling at the entrance. Ancient inspiration wasn't the only thing they had to consider. They also had to make a space big enough to fit all the artwork. There are over 250,000 art pieces in the Institute. With 3 different floors, the Institute is able to fit all the artwork and artifacts with tons of room to spare. The actual building was designed by Daniel Berman, a famous architect who lived from 1846 to 1912. Daniel is famous for designs such as Union Station and being one of the lead developers of the first skyscraper.
The museum atmosphere has a way of subtly changing your behavior whether you know it or not, through subtle cues such as a quiet sign, which will inherently slow down the way you look at an art piece and deciphering each and every detail, to the iPads which explain certain art pieces, giving a sense of modernism to a building made in 1879. You may also realize how nothing gets out of hand at the Art Institute. What may play a factor into this is the generally well-mannered body language of other museum goers.
The people most definitely acted differently when arriving at the museum to fit in with the norms of the museum and its expectations. There are a ton of people who outside of the museum are very immature, loud, and careless, but once they arrived at the museum, they suddenly changed their behavior to conform to the standards. The museum is portrayed as a place for people to observe and think deeply. It also has stereotypes that it's only for elderly people or extremely intelligent people. These kids I mentioned quickly became quiet, careful, and observant once at the Art Institute so they could fit in with the stereotypes and not feel like they didn't belong at the museum. Although these kids may be rule breakers outside the museum, once in the museum, they quickly learn to follow the many unwritten rules. Be quiet, no running, respect the art, no flash photography, and more. In the Chicago Art Institute, there were many barriers put into place to protect artifacts, paintings, and other pieces of artwork. For example, some types of security for sculptures had glass boxes around them to prevent people from touching it. Some other examples of security were beeping alarms when you get too close to a piece of artwork or when you touch something. They do this to alert you that you are too close to the object, and normally a security guard will come by you and make sure you aren't messing with artwork. Security guards were at many corners of the gallery observing your moves. Another way to protect the museum and artwork is cameras located in almost every spot of the museum. The cameras are here so people don't steal, damage, tamper with the artwork. Some nonverbal ways to promote barriers were signs in the gallery. One of the signs was no flash photography, and it's put in place because if hundreds of people are taking pictures, it will affect the artwork. Another sign that was on the wall was a quiet zone. This sign is here to prevent people from being loud for those who are deeply trying to observe and analyze the artwork in the gallery.
I do indeed think that the presence of another person observing the art with you does alter your behavior. The ways in which I acted when someone was near me is slightly different than how I normally act without anyone near me. I stayed extremely quiet and observant when someone was nearby, feeling almost as if they were observing my actions and judging all my behavior. I feel as if there's a standard in the Art Institute to follow. You need to be quiet, composed, look sophisticated, and be observant. As teenagers, we already have targets on our backs. The public believes we are loud, immature, destructive, and careless. Whilst in the Art Institute, I felt almost as if I had to prove those stereotypes wrong. To prove them wrong, I would act extremely careful and deliberate with my movements, observant when people were around.
One of the pieces of art we are choosing to analyze is After the Bullfight, and the gallery name is Arts of America. The Art of America department includes artwork from North, Central, and South America and the Caribbean. The pieces of artwork date back from 5000 BCE to present. This gallery got its name from the history of artistic production in this hemisphere. Other paintings you may be able to find in this gallery include The Herring Net by Winslow Homer and The Black Cross by Georgia O'Keeffe.